Good morning. It looks like another one of those beautiful Sundays when you can imagine that there's nothing wrong in the world. But we will have those Sundays again. I think it's going to be a tradition. I'm going to tell you a story on Sunday. So this was when I was younger in my veterinary practice, and I'm lying in bed, blissfully asleep, and then at 4 a.m. the phone rings. And I reach over and grab it. Hello? Doc, you gotta come fast. You gotta get here quick. I don't know if she can make it. I don't know if she'll last at all. You gotta get here. Says, whoa, who is it? Well, this is Paul. Okay, Paul, I got you. He says, you gotta come. Hurry, Doc, please hurry. And okay. So when you're a veterinarian and you're younger, you can go from sound sleep to instant awareness awfully fast. And I did. I got my clothes on quickly, boots, jumped in the truck, tore down the roads reasonably fast. At 4 a.m. in the country, it's just kind of such a peaceful, quiet stillness that's there. There aren't any cars on the road or anything. And in the sky, there's just that hint of some light thinking about coming through. But it's just a very unique and nice time of the morning for 4 a.m. So I turn around the corner and get in the drive and drive up towards the barn. And it's a small barn, only about 20 cows, just a little operation. And ahead I see a single low, dim light bulb hanging above the barn door. And Paul is pacing furiously back and forth in front of the barn door. So I come to a halt, jump out, start to get my equipment. Paul says, thank God you're here. I should have checked on her last night, like Dad says, you just got to always be aware of things and plan ahead for catastrophe and whatever. And Paul was one of those unfortunate individuals, young man, mid-20s, whose father was reasonably successful and was a perfectionist and expected no less from his son. And Paul really tried to live up to that. And he never realized, I think, that he would never be able to live up to it, but he certainly tried. But he was a little anxious. It's like you're building a big steam boiler, with heavy plates, and you have that last big rivet nut in there, and you crank that down and tighten it up, and got it as tight as you can get, and then you do a little more. Well, that's how Paul was. He was wound a little tight. Well, we walk through the milk house. I get a pail of water. We go into the barn, and it's again a small barn, about 20 stanchions, which are the container, that hold the cow's head in place, in her stall. And there's one cow laying there just in a heap. And I go over and start to examine her, and Paul is pacing. I knew it, Doc. I should have been aware of this. I should have come. I should have set the alarm for midnight so that I could have gotten up, come out here and taken a look at this cow, and be sure that she was all right. I just had a feeling there was something wrong, but I just don't know what the deal is. And I kind of finish examining the cow, and Paul looks at me and says, what is it, Doc? And I said, Paul, this is the worst case of this I've ever seen. Oh my God, no, Doc. It can't, I know it's bad and whatever, but I'm just, I tried. I should have come out, and he said, what's the matter with her, Doc? And I said, this cow is asleep, Paul. And Paul has this stunned look on his face, and I walk behind the cow and nudge her a couple times with the toe of my boot. She kind of opens one groggy eye and looks around a little bit and does a little yawning, and she stretches her a little bit, and finally she gets up on her hind legs as cows do, and then she just took her time and got on her front legs, you know, and then she shakes a little bit, and she dives into the water cup and slurps down a big wad of water, and then she grabs a mouthful of hay and starts chewing contentedly in her stall. And Paul is there, and to this day, I really cannot, I don't have the words to describe his face. But it was a vast majority of the emotion was, you know, utter relief that this cow was not deathly ill and that she was okay and things could get back to normal. But kind of shadowing around that was this little bit of anger I could see in his eyes there, that this stubborn beast had put him through this embarrassing moment, forced him to call the vet, and who knows what that'll cost, and made a fool of him. And then kind of in a haze all around that emotion is just this little bit of disgust with himself that he wasn't smarter than this cow, that he had been faked out. And so I think those were the emotions that were going through his face. But I cleaned up and left, and I was evil. I shouldn't have done that with the worst case of this I've ever seen, you know. But there was just that little part of me that just couldn't resist that, based on being dragged out of bed at 4 a.m. for nothing. So drove away. Paul later on left the farm, and he went to Afghanistan. And I think he went there because I think in the world that's as far as he could get away from his father, and there weren't any cows there. So I think that was part of it. But he was a prominent person in these relief organizations that would go into the villages in the backcountry of these war torn states and whatever, and attempt to help the people, get them wells and water, you know, and things of that nature, and trying to make their lives just basically better. So I was always pleased, and I think he got unwound a little bit. You know, he wasn't quite as tightened up, because he'd come back now and then and visit, and he would tell us these wonderful stories of things that occurred, some dangerous, you know, some enlightening, some gratifying, that occurred in these countries he was in. So I was always pleased that he found a pathway to a person that he could be satisfied with, and it wasn't always being chewed on by some other person. So that was Paul and his cow that was asleep. So I'll think of another story for next Sunday. But for now, think about that. Think about how nice the Sunday is here, and the goodness that we do have in our lives. And we will steadily go forth and compound on that goodness, and we're going to be okay. So have a good day. Thanks for listening.